two, 1, 2, 3, 4.
Scandinavian American humor?
Well, that'll be short. This could be longer than I thought.
That's probably the short of it.
Now, if you take a look at this house here to my right, you're going to see that it's an outhouse, and the designations are Ole and Lena, and they're two characters that turn up in joke after joke after joke after joke. So this is a convenience, but it's also a little bit of humor.
Ole and Lena had an outdoor toilet, and Lena was after Ole all the time to paint that stupid toilet. So he never got around to it. Well, Lena went to Ladies' Aid. So Ole says, oh, I think I'll paint the toilet today. So he painted it pink. Then he thought, oh, I think I'll varnish the seat. It'll be dry before Lena gets home. And by golly, Lena come home a little bit too quick, and she went to the toilet, and she got stuck, so she hollers, Ole, Ole. So he went there, couldn't get her out, so he had to saw the board out. So he took her to the doctor, and he says to the doctor, I bet you never saw anything like this before. Oh, yes, the doctor says, I've seen a lot of them, but never one framed.
These jokes emerged in roughly the 1890s, when there was a pre-Civil War established Scandinavian American population, and suddenly in the late 19th century you have a bunch of newcomers. And the established people who viewed themselves as thoroughly American suddenly encounter all of these greenhorns, and it's out of that kind of juxtaposition that you get a lot of these stereotypical jokes emerging out of these characters.
Lena says, now Ole, you've got to find a job. And Ole had never had a real job before, and they were coming through St. Cloud. Well, he saw the prison there. He thought, well, maybe I can get a job as a guard there in the prison. And so he's interviewing with the warden. The warden says, well, Ole, you think you can handle these guys? There's some really tough characters in here. Ole says, that's no problem. If they give me any trouble at all, out they go.
Oh yeah, it says Ole and Sven, they got a job building a house. And they was working on it there, and Sven says to Ole, he says, go down to the lumberyard, Ole, and get 5,000 board feet of 2x4s. So it says here, Ole goes down there, and Lars was behind the counter, and he says, Sven sends me down for 5,000 board feet of 2x4. And Lars says, well, yeah, but how long do you want them? So he found him a good long time for building a house, you know. Well, they get that straightened out, and they get some lumber back on the job there, and here's Ole. He's got the apron on and the nails, and he's nailing like this, and he takes a nail and he throws that one away, and he nails another one, and Sven's looking at him, and he says, Ole, what the hell are you doing? You're throwing half the nails away. So Sven, the half of them got the heads on the wrong ends. He says, Ole, you are an idiot. Those are for the other side of the house.
Did you hear the story about Ole and Lena when they were at the county fair? Well, there was a stunt pilot who had put on an air show. And after the show was over, he was giving rides to people. And Lena thought she would just love to go up in that airplane and take a ride. But when Ole found out it cost $25 to go up in the plane, he says, oh no, we're not spending that kind of money to go up in the fool airplane. And they argued about it. At the end of the day, the pilot saw what was going on. He thought, I'll have a little fun. He approached them. He says, folks, I'll give you a ride in my airplane absolutely free. Under one condition, though. You have to be silent the whole ride. Well, Ole thought, this'll be a pretty good bet, because Lena and I don't talk much anyhow. So they climbed up in the back seat. And that pilot took off. Oh, and he gave them a ride. They did the barrel roll. They did the loop-de-loop. He took the plane straight up in the air, and it stalled and fell out of the sky, and he pulled it out. The whole time, just absolute silence. Finally, he gave up, and he was headed back for the airstrip. He said, "Folks, I got to hand it to you. You got nerves of steel." Never said a word. Ole says, "Yeah, but I almost yelled when we did that loop-de-loop and Lena fell out."
Lena had died, and Ole called over to the funeral home, and he said, "Hello there." He says, "You know, this is Ole calling, and my wife Lena, she died today at home, and I was wondering if you could come over and pick her up and take her to the funeral home." And the person at the funeral home said, "Of course we could do that. We'd be happy to do that. And can you tell me where you live?" And he said, "Yeah, we live over there on Eucalyptus Street." And so the person on the other end of the phone said, "Well, can you spell that for us?" And Ole paused for a minute. Then he said, "Tell you what," he said, "I'll just drag her over to Oak Street and you can pick her up there."
And at the funeral, Ole was greeting all the people, and he looked down at Lena, and they said, "Isn't Lena beautiful?" "Oh, yes. I loved her so much, I almost told her one time." And that's kind of the way it is.
It's kind of like we make fun of our own, and then you're not really offending anyone, not stepping on anyone's toes. You can just have fun doing that.
Du kom in,
Well,
kom in.
thank you.
Varsågod, varsågod. Well, Lena, it's sure a good thing that we're getting this lefse made early for the Sons of Norway meeting this fall.
And it's a lot of work, I'll tell you.
Yeah, it
extra
sure is.
In the summer, especially when it's hot in here.
Yeah.
Anyway, so
You know, in the summertime, it is so fun, isn't it, Lena? We go and visit all the members of the Sons of Norway. And you know, we pride ourselves in not gossiping.
oh no.
But we do a lot of visiting while we're making this lefse, don't we?
Well, we
Yeah.
have to share the news, and let me
Yeah.
tell you, Hilda, do I have some news for you?
Yeah.
Well, I was over at Mel and Cis Grano's house the other day.
Yeah?
Yeah. Oh, Cis is in a snit, let me tell you.
Why?
Well, because, you know, he is retired now. And she was telling me that on Tuesday, the doorbell rang. And Mel gets up off his easy chair. So he goes to the door and opens it. And Hilda, there stood the most beautiful, voluptuous young woman in the world.
Well, what did she want?
Well, she took one look at Mel and she says, "I must be at the wrong house." Well, Mel says, "Oh, honey, you is at the right house. You is just 40 years too late." Oh, Cis was in a stick, let me tell you.
Oh, yeah, a little bit. Oh, is that not thin enough?
Oh, yeah, that's nice.
That reminds me, there's this fella I knew, Sven is his name too. He went fishing in the game warden and catches them out of season. And with a creel full of trout, you know. And Sven says, "No, these are my pet fish." Is this your pet fish? "Yeah, I just bring them down here to the stream and let them get a little exercise, you know. So I just let them out there in the stream, and then I call them back, and I put them back and take them back home and put them in the aquarium." Game warden, he says, "Oh yeah, let's prove that. Put him in the water there." So he puts them in the water. Fish swim away. Game warden says, "Okay, call him back." Sven says, "Call what back?" Says, "The fish." He says, "What fish?"
Ole was kind of a ne'er-do-well, and kind of a rogue. And Lena was blonde, 16-year-old. Oh, she was so sweet, and she taught Sunday school at the church. And Ole thought she was nice, so he said, "Would you like to go out for dinner?" And she said, yeah, that'd be kind of fun. And then he really surprised her. He didn't take her to Perkins. He took her to the American Legion Club. That was kind of special. And they got there and they sat down and he said to her, would you like a cigarette? Holy no, what would I tell my Sunday school class? Oh, okay. Would you like a glass of wine? No, Ole, what would I tell my Sunday school class? And they had the best meal. It went so well, wonderful. They were on their way home. They were in the car, and they were just passing the no-tell motel. And he said to her, say, would you like to spend the night there? And she looked at it, and she said, that looks like a nice place. And the next morning, after a very athletic night, they were on their way home, and Ole was driving, kind of looking at her, and he said, say, Lena, I'm sure wondering about last night. What are you going to tell your Sunday school class? And she said, well, I'm going to tell them what I tell them every time. You can have an awful good time without smoking or drinking.